Hello and welcome to English ESLV. This is part 2 of word order and sentence structure. In our first video, we looked at sentence structure and learnt about the sequence who, what, where, when, how and why. In this video, we are going to look at the position of adverbs. Adverbs like always, happily, finally, hardly, clearly, etc. If you haven't watched part 1, I recommend watching part 1 first. If you watch this video till end, you will have clear idea how to create wonderful sentences. It will in turn bring confidence in writing as well as speaking. So when you're ready, we can begin. Today we are going to understand the word order part 2 and we will look at the position of adverb. Let's start with frequency adverbs. So the most common position for these adverbs is before the main verb and in the word part. This is the basic reminder of basic sentence structure: who, what, where, when, how and why. So adverb part go with what part before the main verb. Let's take an example. Always. I always watch the news. And if there is an auxiliary, do, does, or don't, doesn't, etc., or a modal verb, can, must, etc., become between the auxiliary or modal and the main verb. For example, I don't always watch the news. I can't always watch the news. Let's look at the other sentence with adverbs of frequency. Never. They will never do that again. Hardly. She hardly ever goes out. Rarely. She can rarely have a rest. Seldom. It seldom rains here. Occasionally. She occasionally writes to me. Sometimes. He sometimes has to work late. Doesn't usually work on Fridays. I have often seen him. It always happens in winter. Other adverbs that comes before the main verb. I have already had lunch. They have recently bought a new car. Just. She has just come back. Finally, we finally managed to contact him. Soon, we will soon have a break. Still, he is still watching the television. Almost, I almost forgot. All, they have all finished. Next we have currently. They are currently negotiating a deal. Also, I would also like to visit the church. Probably. We will probably get a letter next week. Both. We both arrived late. Even. I can even move my fingers. Hardly. I could hardly hear him. Now, why it is so important to know about the position of other adverbs too? Because when you see them jumbled up in a jumbled sentence, you often get confused what is the right order of them in the sentence. Now there is an exception with the verb to be. When there is a verb to be, whether it is a worker or auxiliary or main verb, the word adverbs come after it. For example, she is always here. The bus is rarely on time. They are often tired. And with other adverbs, we were all happy. August was even hotter than July. I am already late. Right then, to summarize, always put the adverb before the main verb, except when your main verb is the verb to be. Now let's look at the position when you might say the adverb at the beginning of a sentence. It doesn't happen with all adverbs, but some adverbs can come to the beginning of a sentence. This is to put more emphasis on this element, therefore the punctuation and voice will have to change too. For example, we had the sentence which has he sometimes has to work late, and if you want to stress sometimes, put it at the beginning of sentence, and in writing separate it with comma. And in speaking, put stress on sometimes and give a pause after comma. Say, sometimes he has to work late. Let's look at the other examples and put the verb at the beginning. One of our sentences was, she doesn't usually work on Friday. Bring the adverb to the beginning and stress it. Usually, she doesn't work on Fridays. Next example, putting finally at the beginning. Finally, we managed to contact him. Here we have soon at the beginning. Soon we will have a break. And one final example with currently. The original sentence was, they are currently negotiating a deal. And we can stress currently by putting it at the beginning and saying currently they are negotiating a deal. Now, one word of warning, that is, if you have a negative adverb and you put that at the beginning of sentence, you will need an inversion. You need to switch the places of your auxiliary and the subject. As this complicates the sentence structure, it is best to avoid negative adverbs at the start of sentence. Let's look at some examples. Remember the sentence, they will never do it again. Now if you put never at the start of sentence, you will have to invert. You will have to switch the places of subject and the auxiliary. Never will they do it again. Let's consider another example we studied before. She can rarely have a rest. Now if you want to emphasize rarely and put it at the start of sentence, then once again you have to invert the subject and the verb. So sentence will become rarely can she have a rest. A slightly complicated example would be, it seldom rains here. Now if you put seldom at the beginning of a sentence, you will need to bring in the auxiliary for the inversion. So as it is a present simple tense, your auxiliary is does. Seldom does it rain here. So, to summarize, you can put your adverbs at the start of your sentence, but be careful when you do that with negative adverbs. Now, let's move on to the adverbs of manner, and they answer the question, how. As you remember from the first part, how comes between when and why in the sentence structure. Now, if the how is an ly adverb such as quickly, carefully, you can put it before the main verb as we have seen with other adverbs. And if you do this, you are stressing this element and you are emphasizing the element, and that should be reflected in your voice. Let's look at some example. He opened the door quietly. So we have who, what and how. Because the how is an ly adverb, you can put it before the main verb like any other adverb. And stress with your voice. He quietly opened the door. By now, I hope that you will be able to rearrange the jumbled sentence correctly by thinking of our sentence structure with who, what, where, when, how, and why. And thinking of the position of adverbs as well. If you still have any problem, you can put that in comment box. I will definitely get back to you soon. Till then, bye bye and thank you for watching this video. If you liked that video, please don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Bye bye.